A little bit of a different look at both of these teams facing off on Fracture in the end. Shopify Rebellion Black to take the lead in the series, taking down M80's map pick of choice. Going into this, Ash, like these are two big teams. We got to see a lot of highlighted plays, and I thought it was awesome to see kind of just like those little micro adjustments. And we got to see the duelists square off. Like this is a fun match.
It was a really fun match, a lot of hero moments even coming out from especially I think the side of M80 as well. I feel like Fracture, it was a really strong start for SRB with that 8 to 4. It's been nice to see a strong kickoff, I think, on the side of M80 as well, but just not quite having that synergy that we were looking for on the defensive side. I think SRB did really well as far as taking up a lot of space, which was mostly Paint, being that tip of the spear. And then I think BCJ was just so consistent in being by his side that he actually ended up earning quite a few of those first bloods for himself on those entries.
One enemy remains.
I'm also kind of a big fan. I mean, just to add on to that as well, but I'm also a big fan of the fact that Paint was utilizing the Neon to just completely destroy the Vice util as early as possible into the half, right? Like into the round, excuse me. There's so many moments where they just had a very clear idea of how they wanted to deal with the Vice, how they wanted to deal with Bao specifically, and it felt like they almost found that counter every round in that first half, it feels like. And I think that just goes to show that SRB came prepped. They had an idea of how the map was being approached by M80, and they executed it flawlessly.
Yeah, I think also like you look at the score line, right? With that 13-9 in favor of SRB, you think, okay, this is like a decently close matchup. And it was on paper, but I feel like when it comes down to a lot of those rounds that M80 were even able to pick up, there were a lot of hero plays coming out. I think Caillou especially had quite a couple like clutches. B-Dog had a clutch there as well to actually take them to that 13-9, but without those heroic plays, I think the general like synergy and spacing of the team was missing at times for M80, where we would have expected to see a little bit of a clearer picture. But I think it really did warm up into the later end of it.
I think too, when I look back at M80, there's a couple rounds where, okay, there's not enough time to defuse the spike, etc. Like little kind of things that plagued them that ended up being like the difference maker, not being able to fully have weaponry in a one round because, someone dies with the weapon when maybe they should have. Those little things, those are fixable things. So definitely not discounting them going into the next series there, Ash.
No, definitely not. And then looking over at this timeline here as well, right? SRB starting out on that attacking side. Roy touched on it a little bit already with how much disruption Paint was able to cause for this team. But being able to manage to get into 10 post-plant situations, winning out 8 of them, again, had so much to do with the space that they were able to take, pushing really deep into spawn situations as well, cutting off a lot of the flanks that we saw M80 even going for too, and just being able to really pick apart any opportunity that M80 were looking for some of those floods back onto site, not even giving them a chance to get comfortable in retake.
And looking at the player performances for this series, I mean, we talked about the historic, not the historics, the heroic, the other one. Maybe one day be historic, one day. But right now, heroic plays coming out from the team across the board. And it seems that we really did get to see a step up kind of from a variety of people at different points. I mean, when you're looking at the side of SRB, there was multiple rounds where Pancakes is getting a couple of kills and then is able to get out here, Roy. And like little moments like that really just made this difference.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ash nailed it on the head, right? She was mentioning the fact that there's just some things that were missing, like the way they were double peeking and triple peeking stuff, and the way they were clearing some corners and just some like nooks and crannies. Like everything seemed, it was like the macro and the overall game plan was layered on well, but when it came to the fine details and like the deep inspection, there was a little bit of dysfunction coming out from the M80 side. But I think overall, SRB just had a superior game plan. They had an exact idea of who they wanted to pick on. They completely countered Bao. They completely dismantled the Vice. And I think that everything else was just a result of the fact that they came in with a clear vision and executed it.
I'm going to chalk that one up to Monty coming on in. So kudos there. I wasn't there. I don't know. But when we're talking about the game plans and everything else, this definitely seemed to be an SRB that was coordinated. And I'm loving to see this look coming on out. Something that we wanted to touch on with how this map went down too was look at these duelists, because of course going into this series there is some big looks here. Of course, Sato is Sato coming on into the squad, and we got to see some great kills. But Ash, Paint has just been on a cooker lately, and some of the kills and shots he was getting in this match was just crazy on this Neon.
No, it was really insane. Again, it comes down to a lot of that space taking the support there too. Because when you have Monsi now onto the breach role, right? It opened up that opportunity for BCJ to play next to Paint, really help him in situations where Paint would go for a very early engagement. He only actually ended up having 2 first bloods at the end of the day, but always had support so he could fall back well and then go for another fight on either the other side of the same site or go for a full rotation. And for Sato, I feel like we saw him have like a little bit of a slower start going into this series. Still did perform his role and whatnot, but you definitely could tell that he was warming up into things, and I'm looking forward for him to having like a hotter start in map 2.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I'm hoping going on to the series, this is going to be one of those that we do get to see the 3 maps on. But of course, looking at the side of the M80, it's only going to get a little bit more difficult from here on out, heading back over to our map picks and bans, because they ended up losing their first map pick. Now we're going to be heading on to Pearl for the second map of the series. I think this one is doubly interesting here, Roy, because this is coming out from Shopify Rebellion Black, but their last appearance on this ended up being a loss. It was to a team that's pretty proficient on this Pearl, but still, they're feeling confident in this run back, and I'm excited to see them redeem themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just being kind. They got absolutely destroyed by Nightblood Gaming on that map. It was 13-7. It really did feel like Nightblood Gaming was in the driver's seat the entire time, and they really did not have solutions to specifically the Neon. But I think now coming into the M80 comp, we do have some questions, right? One, this doesn't really feel like a weak map for M80 side. They played it once against YFP, a very formidable team. It was about a month ago, yes, but they came out on top. They were running the Tejo, the Fade, the sort of Sentinel meta, if you will, and they were running it pretty well. Now again, there will be some swaps. We're not really sure whether there will be composition swaps or just players moving roles. But I think overall, Pearl should be a slightly more straightforward map to play, especially not having to balance the 4 quadrants.
The composition is the thing that I'm going to be keeping my eye out on now that we do have Sato coming in for M80, because M80, the last time we got to see them, it was the Yoru coming on out, and then Sato coming into this team. Are we going to see him pick up the Yoru? Like, that's going to be my biggest question, Ash, is looking at the agent pool here for Sato and how the team kind of builds around that. I'm sure he's capable of picking up anything, but are they kind of going to go for more comfort? Like, how comfortable is this Yoru?
I think the Yoru is actually pretty comfortable for him. He played it over on Glorious, and he was putting out numbers on that pick as well. Obviously, maybe not as innately comfortable considering he hasn't had as many reps and officials on it, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the depth to pull out. We've seen him be proficient on this on his previous team. I'm not really expecting them to go for a change in composition unless it's, for like the overall vision. I don't see them swapping what he would be playing on this map just for his own pure comfort, because he does have that experience.
All right, well, Agent Select is ready, so let's head on over to that to see what we are going to get to witness here as we head on over to Pearl, map 2 of the series. And of course, M80 down, but not out by any means here. Heading on into this across the board, it's going to be Sato instead on the Neon here. All right, how are we feeling about this look?
Whoa, this is a massive pivot. They've completely swapped, the overall philosophy. They're running the completely different set of initiators, the Breach, the Fade versus the Tejo Fade. They're running the Neon as well instead of the Yoru. So they're leaning more into that high pace, high octane, run down the map control, run down the sites, and just brawl it out with great utility, and as well as the retake power with Vice, as well as with Astra.
Okay. I mean, Sato, definitely someone capable of playing anything, but I'm loving this change that M80 is bringing out here, Ash. How are you feeling about how these two rosters stack up against each other now?
I do quite like it. I think that Sato, knowing that, SRB were unlikely to change their comp much, having that KJ as well, knowing you're not going to need like the Yoru to actually deal with a lot of that Vice util, I think that the Neon is a great pick coming out, just being able to really speed things up, change the pace here on Pearl. I'm really excited for this new look coming out from M80. And it's a really big risk also to be taking at this stage, but at the same time, it's not like they're eliminated, right? This is a qualification matchup. If it doesn't work out, they can go back to something that they used before. I'm excited to see what they're bringing to the table.
Time to see if that change is exactly what they need to bring us into a map 3, or if it's going to be Shopify Rebellion Black to be able to close out this series in 2 and qualify for playoffs. It's time to go back over to your casters. It's Marks and Shift.
Yeah, I mean, I think the final moments there, kind of with the desk breaking down this composition, which is new for M80, I think it does make a lot of sense, where it's just, again, it's going to be very telegraphed in terms of what the execute call is going to be when they're on offense. I think the biggest question is going to be how much success on retake are they going to get? Because the decision-making there, I think, is going to be extra stressed, especially if Shopify can scale deep into the site with Paint in the mix.
Yeah, I mean, once again, like looking at how this should potentially break down. I mean, M80 are really going to be relying on a zoom, and then boom, with the breach being the big thing that's going to allow this Neon to thrive. And yet, it could be completely cut off just thanks to that Killjoy. And we've seen how effective Killjoys can be, really, at being able to slow down a lot of the tempo, play off of a lot of that noise. And already, look at this. So deep. Sato's taken so much space on the middle, while Shopify Rebellion Black, they're just going to be taking it nice and slow, taking it nice and easy, trying to reflexively receive the aggression from the M80 defense.
You have to confirm that there is no push up through mid. You just have to. It'd be way too fast of a retake around the pinch if you don't re-clear mid here. So it's going to force a little bit of consideration for Shopify Rebellion, but they do clear things out. How frisky do they feel, though, continuing to play through mid? With the fade, they will have the option to commit a Prowler to try to get a little bit of pressure into one of these two connectors, and that's exactly what will occur. Smoke down, Prowler out, but the action over towards A main gets evenly exchanged. 3v3 right off the rip.
And speaking of that telegraphedness, now they have an idea on where this breach is situated, especially with the rotation going over. So Shopify Rebellion, they make the right call, decide to back off here and go onto that B site. We'll have to be very meticulous about it. Still has the haunt available in Monty's pocket, so that's going to provide a little bit of information, or should provide the information that nobody is around, and they should have a free plan, and everything should be on M80 to retake.
And again, they're going to have to do this with really just when the fault line recharges and a couple of flashes from B-Dog. And Monzi may not allow them to get too far forward. Oh, what a reaction from Sato, but Pancakes right there to get the instant trade. One flash spent, fault line recharged, alarm bot dealt with. Now the reset to the 2v2. Turret deleted just to make sure it gets out of the way. No body blocks here. Opening angle good, and Shopify Rebellion have the perfect crossfire to deal with both M80 players for the pistol.
And this still hammers home the point. I think Shopify Rebellion are doing an excellent job at mid-rounding. Having a good idea on where everybody from M80 is, what would be the most efficient way to be able to get that spike down. They're doing a fantastic job every single time at just somehow picking the right site. And I wonder if that's because of this telegraphed nature that M80 has to kind of play themselves around. Obviously, just making sure that they get the spike down and then setting up for post-plant is easy. But if M80 continues to broadcast exactly where they are and how they want to be playing, then I think Shopify Rebellion Black are in a really good position to just continue to disengage and then play intelligently off their information.
Nice getting a little bit of information on the defensive setup, at least who's there at A. And again, this turret at mid is just going to be a bit of a nuisance if M80 want to try to find a more dynamic retake. No, they're going to peek out, delete it, throw a little bit of consideration for the pinch and flank on this take and execute in towards B. But again, this is what I was kind of talking about from the opening setup immediately after the agent selection. If Paint gets into back halls, how do you re-clear this? Because if you're going to spend a fault line, you're not going to have to deal with all the players deeper through pillar. And again, it's just going to be so difficult for M80 to complete a retake with this much kind of a setup around the back and front side of the site.
Oh, so much info given away. Sato already going down as well. They know Paint's back here, but what can they do?
Yeah, and again, it's just... It's so difficult to flush him out from that position. You have to spend all the utility you desperately need to clear out this position. So, difficult setup here. Again, not a round that you would have expected that maybe you were going to hold much of a candle in due to the weapon disadvantage, but still, this is just the start of what is going to be a persistent problem if M80 cannot stop Shopify from getting on site.
Yeah, and it comes down to the style that M80's composition kind of requires to play. The anchoring ability should be decent thanks to Caillou being able to play that Vise, toss down a couple of those Thorns, make sure that the Shear is ready to go, all of that type of stuff. But the crux of how this works is you want your Neon to be flying out and finding a kill nice and easy and able to escape thanks to B-Dog's utility and Okeanos getting the utility out there to kind of scout them out as well. And that simply will not work out if you don't really find anything. And then as a result, Shopify Rebellion very easily can overwhelm whichever site they want to go on. And Sato taking a forward spike here, but immediately is deterred with all the utility being exchanged.
But this is fine. This is what M80 need to do. They need to try to take some forward space away and force Shopify Rebellion to have to spend their utility to try to re-clear because it's not easy to do on their side either. Good haunt placement and a very solid attempt. And that is exactly what they're going to have to continue to do, is be fine electing to take these extremely expensive opening battles, committing resources, committing utility, because otherwise, if you don't have the map in your control, it's going to be very difficult to get Caillou into a spot to feel comfortable on site.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a great strategy, right? Because sure, we talk about like the numbers game. Oh, you're able to take a life over here, take a life over there. That's cool, but it's also a space game. And like you said, being able to push out there, take that space, force out the rest of the utility so that they have to use it just to be able to re-clear something that should be more or less free. It's so much more difficult. And a lot of the utility that Shopify Rebellion have for their attacking is not something that regenerates super quickly or has multiple charges. It's very like, oh, the smokes are out, we dash in. Oh, the haunt scouted something out there, that's cool. Oh, the knife flew through, now we gotta wait a little bit. So these kind of stalls are really what's going to stop Shopify Rebellion in their tracks.
Yes, 100%. And again, look at how the setup is starting to develop. The sheer across B is the line of defense that M80 are going to trust. You've got good support in through both connections at mid. You've got some good forward progress at A main that's forcing a knife to come through. That pulls things back into a 1v1. But again, B-Dog's in a great spot to at least go 1-for-1. But Monzi, deep through B connector connects. The follow-up battle at middle's not going the way M80 want. And Shopify in the first gun round absolutely obliterate the defensive setup through mid.
Wow, and honestly, like the Shopify Rebellion players looked surprised too as M80 just kind of flooded in there. Like they simply weren't expecting that level of aggression, but that is telling with how M80 want to be playing these rounds out. It's so strange just watching these such early fights happen here, and you can tell that M80 are trying to isolate these fights, but it's just Shopify Rebellion just kind of chilling back and then letting them flood into them and then just take those shots as they come through. An excellent job coming through from Shopify. They're just very clearly running away with things early on in this map. And the Blade Storm is going to be active. Keep in mind, Okeanos does have that Nightfall online, which could be an excellent retake tool. But that aggression that we were talking about from M80 has been completely slowed down this round.
Pancakes knew what was coming there after that Prowler hit through mid. Tried to use the turret as a bit of a bodyguard. Doesn't work out, so first blood collected by M80. Now rotating back over towards A. Paint. Does he get an opportunity with the support of BCJ to find some sort of a flash peek? Does Sato even allow it? Oh, it's just a wide peek that he checks. Is there an exit though? No, there is not. Not from Paint. Still keeping the hot hand. Dashing through the fault line. Follow-up support's on the way, but he doesn't need it. Paint catches 3. Okeanos playing through connector, the last defensive bastion, and he's at least able to stall things a little bit longer for Caillou to come over.
Oh, what? Sprayed down through a wall, through a smoke as well. Caillou in a 1v3. The Nightfall gets tossed out, expecting to see that position in mid. Has one Arcos available. This is tough.
Yeah. Bonzi up and over with some of the utility. Puts another pause in. Spaz dropping the star, pulling the Nebula. It should be a freebie here, but how do you follow up afterwards? And the answer is you just simply don't. Pop-off moment from Paint. Doesn't really even need the support of PCJ at all. Just finds through with the knives while airborne.
And it's such an interesting round to kind of take a back seat here and take a look at the overall map because, yeah, sure, Paint did pop the Blade Storm, but meanwhile, Monty was so far pushed up B, potentially just like, okay, if Paint doesn't find those kills, we can easily rotate over because I've taken all of this space already. And I think that level of macro game that's coming in from Shopify Rebellion in regards to just map control has been really what's been allowing them to be very successful because M80, like, it almost feels like they're trapped into their defensive setups.
Yeah, and that's the issue, I think, with, again, new roster, new comp. From what we can tell, again, we don't know how scrims have gone since Sato's joined the squad now. But that is the kind of the issue of, like, the only way that they, M80, not the only way, but one of the best ways that they can counter what's going on right now is that they need to control the map. And they have not been able to do so yet. And that's, again, kind of growing pains that come with playing with a new player, trying to figure out what we want to spend, what are our protocols around if we get matched with the same type of utility. And so far, M80 have been shrugged off of playing like through A main. Their hits that are playing through middle have been met simply by largely just a turret. So it's just one of those things that they don't quite have everything operating on all cylinders. You can see what they're trying to do, and they're going to do this again here with some aggression towards B long, probably by way of just a flash and sprint forward. But if they commit a fault line for this as well, that would be pretty punishing. Prowler through mid to get things going, and expect that at some point, Sato's going to be trying to get open space through B long.
Keep in mind, too, Sato does have the overdrive available. And so if that information is given, if we see that fall through, I imagine we're going to be seeing some lightning flying across the field. It's still a little bit of a risky gamble. And look at this. Shopify Rebellion just so aware of what M80 want them to do. And so they simply are not doing it.
Well, here comes the creep up. And Paint will get contact here, but it is a pistol versus a rifle. Relay bolt out. Overdrive. Forcing forward, Prowler pushes it back. And that completely counteracts all of Sato again, who has to retract back to a spot to where he can actually do some damage.
Wow. Such a smart disengagement coming through from Shopify Rebellion. They completely just zoom out of there, toss down all the smokes, cut off all that noise, and suddenly that overdrive gets 0% value. BCJ just exploring, spots that out, is going to be making noise, which actually makes M80 rotate around. So Sato left alone on an island against 4 members of Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah, it's just so tough for M80 right now with the weapons that they have in round 6. It's just someone's going to have to do something special. Sato would be the first one up, pending, and Flash comes through. Nice opening shots, takes down one. That weapon is not in the collectible spot. Stun has landed onto Paint, but B-Dog cannot convert off of it. A couple of tags from the bottom side of tunnel also deals some damage, but Pancakes has stayed alive. A toggle on the spike, though, forces the issue for this post plant to have to react. Gravity Vortex, Aftershock, all being spent over towards screens. They're going to clear off the spike. Now comes the recontester on the deep side, but Okeanos has found one. Do they have enough time, though? Do M80 have enough time to pull this off? They're going to stick on for it. Bao has stayed safe. He's going to get the defuse. And a Thrifty will come through for M80.
And I just want to say, like, a micro play coming in there, allowing M80 to stick that defuse is all thanks to Okeanos. Finds that first kill with the Stinger. It was a little bit scuffed, but it still counts to get the Nightfall online, and then the Nightfall tags up the rest of the members of Shopify Rebellion. Let's not forget that one of the things that happens is you lose sound. And so the entire time, the rest of the players had no idea that the spike was being defused or stuck at all. And sure, they could have sprayed it down, but at that point it was already half. Things were looking pretty darn good for M80. So it's just one of those little micro plays that makes such a huge difference on how these rounds fall out.
Well, again, similar setup here for M80, but the Cosmic Divide will be split up over towards the A side. Prowler trying to hold this off for the defense, counteracted by one of the attacks. Now the peek from Bao. Bold challenge, and they're going to teamwork this one out, and what teamwork it is! Wow, what a challenge! They lose one in the process, but that is sheer perfection from M80, stopping the spike before it can get onto A.
I was going to say, wow, that's so bold. And turns out they just needed to do a very bold play. Teamwork making the dream work happen, as it wasn't only just one of the members of M80, but 3 of them so boldly going through the Cosmic Divide, catching Shopify Rebellion off guard. And you could tell the original strategy was, hey, Paint, go make some noise over on that B site. Make them think we're going to be going over there. Of course, Paint going to be leading the charge. And instead, the rest of the Shopify Rebellion members just walked right into M80's trap. And, you know, we talk about a lot of these players just having their clutch up moments, having those times where they're able to find those multi-kills. But that is one of those instances where we're seeing the teamwork and just the calling from M80 be at that level that is very competitive against Shopify.
And I got to point out now that for the first time in this game, you're going to get M80 who have now started to flip the eco around, and the dynamic around what they're going to try to do defensively is going to change because they're going to trust that Sato can hit a shot with an op. So figure that he's largely going to be playing for an opening pick, probably more often than not over towards B, which allows M80 to try to play this a little bit more of a forward stack at the doors of A. So that will be interesting, I think, to see if they continue to do that, because for now, Sato with this operator is still concealed. He didn't take any shots in that last round. So figure what they tried to set up from last round will continue to be persistent here in round 8.
Yeah, it's almost like that haha surprise card. As soon as that operator rings out there, you know there's going to be something to be said. And yeah, we get a little bit of that replay of just the boldness coming through there. On top of that too, dropping down the smoke, cutting out so much of that sight line. Once again, just an excellent execute from M80. And yeah, you called it. That operator hanging out on B. They're putting a lot more of their resources on B as well. Whereas Shopify Rebellion on a bit of an awkward buy are going to be trying to take a lot more of that middle pressure right now as they go exploring.
And a lot of this is just, you know, for M80, just, again, the Prowler stops any early aggression through A. You have a little bit of assistance to Sato to make sure he owns the angle. How deep can we get him? The answer is very. And now, again, you've got the ability to use the Rose at mid towards B connector. And beyond that, the opportunity for a fault line to come through to react to any play through mid. I think the question will be, at what point does Caillou decide to come back, if at all? Because, I mean, you're essentially using two players to do the same thing right now.
And this is so interesting. Like, you can see Shopify Rebellion, they've completely taken over that middle side. They're waiting for that M80 aggression, but this time the M80 aggression is simply just back in their spawn. It's going to be very interesting. A little bit of fake utility being tossed out here. Try and make it seem like things are going one way and Spike may be going another. And now the call has been made from Shopify as they slowly make their way towards A.
Running good, and the shot better. And now all of a sudden, Shopify know they need to commit to one side or the other. And the thing about this is B-Dog can just utilize the Rolling Thunder to delay or find a glitter. But Paint's going to find him through the vent. What a mass elimination that is. Back onto the site we go, but M80 still holding with numbers. Spike will be planted for a little bit of an eco boost, but trying to hold this is another story. And as Paint will drop, it'll just be the single elimination plus the bonus from planting for Shopify. We're tied at 4.
The discipline coming in from M80 there. Obviously, we want measured aggression, which we get to see out from that B site. A lot of information is just kind of taken simply because of that map control, something that we've been hammering home here. And the rest of it, they just kind of sit back and chill and wait for Shopify Rebellion to decide to move out onto that A site where they're ready to receive it and completely shoot them down with a lot of excellent crossfires being set up. Now Shopify Rebellion, they're going to be the ones who take this break, take a second to take a breath and figure out what they can do here. They've got 2 of their ultimates online, the Lockdown as well as the Null Command. Though, especially the Null Command, an excellent engagement tool. Lockdown can secure you more space here. And let's see what they can pull out of this one, because if they lose this gun round, then M80 are in an excellent position right now to potentially just start making this snowball back in their favor.
Yeah, this is one of those rounds, friends, that you inch a couple inches forward on your seat, because it's going to be really the decision-making of the 2 ults that you mentioned, but you've got Steel Garden, a Cosmic Divide, and a Rolling Thunder for the defense. So a lot of conversations going to have to happen here as we try to get through this very pivotal round in the first half, because the timing of how you want to use these ults, I think especially if you're Shopify, is critical. If you use them for execute, you don't have the ability of shutting down things like a Steel Garden or a Rolling Thunder late. You also have to keep in mind that Nightfall's also a single orb away from being earned. So it definitely feels like a small advantage tilting towards M80. It just comes down to, will they choose to play super passive and just overwhelm by playing for retake with those critical ults, or will they try to step forward again with Sato still holding this operator?
Look at that. Like, they toss out both the Haunt as well as the 0 point to try and make it seem like there's going to be a fast flood through onto A. And M80 are just wiser. They just back up a little bit. Their utility is set up. They know that they can play this trap here. So why bother investing a lot into it? Meanwhile, Sato still with this operator, completely unnoticed, by the way. This is still a surprise as Caillou has taken a lot of space moving up.
And he's just going to stack it. So it's going to have to be based on contact here. Spaz, I think, knows something's up. I mean, you haven't seen anything over towards B-Long, so you have to assume. Prowler will clear out middle. The first one was already utilized to clear the right side of mid through Art. defensive prowler doesn't even get in towards where the Y bank is at mid at all. So again, this is going to have to be M80 playing for retake. The question here will be, what do you spend to try to get into the site? They are going to spend the null command. You got to find eliminations. You need to find critical ones now if you're Shopify, because there's so many tools for retake.
Oh man, okay, yeah, there we go. BCJ able to find one, but Okeanos ready for that receive. BCJ goes down, but might be rezzed.
Yep, should be. Monzi, oh, the timing. Here he's able to get through the arms. Oh, doesn't get affected at all by the Rolling Thunder. Nightfall no earned. A little dance for Sato. Shut down though by Spaz. Back and forth we go. Shot misses for Caillou. And now it's just down to Okeanos. And he's stuck inside a pit. 1v3, time ticking. First shots are good. Second, no, not there. Spaz finds 3. And the choice for Shopify to push up in towards Secret and get someone into Flowers, critical to save that round.
Absolutely. You talk about what M80 had locked and loaded and ready to go. And yet still Shopify Rebellion there. Get ahead of the issue. Stop it at the head. Make sure that nothing can fly through. Sure, the Rolling Thunder comes, and yet no one can engage off of it. The ultimate more or less gets wasted there. And sure, Okeanos does his best to try and win this one back, but just an excellent read play coming through from Shopify Rebellion to make sure that the plan can simply not occur. Shopify Rebellion once again taking the lead and stabilize their economy as Paint now has this operator in hands.
Yeah, scope battle possibly to come through here. Sato has changed his angle, playing in towards mid. Sees the top of the turret. Lets his team know about it. Pancakes has often played off the contact from this. He'll try it again, but no, not this time. Sato doesn't pull the trigger. Prowler to clear. One more opportunity. No, missed. And that's going to now have to be a tactical retreat for M80.
And just good respect being played to that off. You don't want Sato to find a collat just like that again. And suddenly all your plans fall apart. So excellent just respect being played from Shopify Rebellion as they move through Okeanos with the spray down.
Stand tall and deliver if you're Okeanos. Paint trying to clear out the backside at B, but candidly speaking, outside of Sato playing aggressively, there really hasn't been much consideration for M80 to take this challenge. Instead, they're going to play the cross. Star in place, Cosmic Divide to make things messy. Dash up and over! What a shot from Sato! And that shuts the entire play down. You can't still push through this, not with smokes and razor wires in the way.
And just for good measure, put those primary weapons. The shear is still activated as well, as it actually was Paint who dashed up and above it. Make sure that it doesn't get activated. And yeah, just like that, the round ticks away. Sato making a statement with that operator shot, clipping the wings off of Paint, making sure that nothing can be done. And yeah, you know, Shopify Rebellion, they're going to be paying attention to where this operator is on that next round, because that was devastating.
Wow. I mean, again, I know it's glimpses here and there, friends, but there's just something a little different about some of the POV moments we've had from Sato. I want to say that one takes the cake, but the near 1v5 ace, essentially from earlier, still lives rent-free in my head. And we're tied at 5. Economy's fine for the most part for both teams. Shopify limping in a little bit. Bao does have the advantage of a Cosmic Divide, if you want to call it that. And outside of that, you've also got on the other side for Shopify Rebellion and Nightfall nearly ready to go. So again, critical round 11 coming from both these two squads.
Interesting, Pancake's going to be the one with the operator this time, holding out any of these angles outside of that B site. Make sure that no one is going to be over-rotating around. And yeah, the fault line gets broadcasted. Flash around the corner, doesn't matter. Sato's still good for 1, as that's going to be BCJ dropped yet again. And a lot of that initiator utility, a lot of those flashes just non-existent.
Contact here, likely through the nebula. Fowler goes first, taunt up and over. Paint denied. Spaz kind of has to take this and will. Yeah, good follow-up on the Feint utility. Bao still holding a corner, though. Does he get the contact on this? Sure does. Any more? Sure, but Spaz shuts it up. That's now 3. He's working on a potential ace in the 2v2.
And Sato 2 as well with the sniper rifle in hand. Caillou very far into the back. A lot of utility still available for Sato. If this operator doesn't find purchase, imagine if you just left-clicked right there. Your awareness would have been unbelievable.
We're all sitting there imagining it, and I snapped and Caillou. Pancakes, last one left, 1v2. Gets the first one cleanly. Turret back up and open, and that's right over the top of the spike. Nano Swarm also. That one's deleted. Oh my goodness! Sato goes for the toggle. Pulls back out the primary. A little bit extra just to let him know. Not today.
Oh, man. And once again, the biggest question coming into this matchup between M80 and Shopify Rebellion was how they were going to adapt, given the fact that Weeded's going to be out here. Okeano's taking over the role, and Sato's fitting into the squad. And quite frankly, you know, just allowing Sato to just take this space, hold things down on his own, that is working out really well for M80. I think that some of the more teamwork elements tend to be stuff that needs to be worked on a little bit, and you kind of expect that, especially for a new roster. But you know Sato's going to be good put on his own. So excellent showcase from the new duelist to M80 as they're already going exploring again.
Oh, Relay Bolt's going to connect. Follow up with the Gravity Vortex. Flash over the top. Forcing the issue here is Shopify Rebellion, and everything melts. Sato looking for more. You think he's starting to feel his stride? 3 opening up round 12, and that may put this half out of question.
Yeah, this is the last one, and man, I just feel so bad for BCJ. I feel like BCJ has been first blood so many rounds. This time wasn't the first blood. Well, I think Watsi went down first, but then immediately just got zapped down afterwards through the smoke. And you know what? That's just a little bit of a motivational killer for Benjamin. So, little bit hard here as a Shopify Rebellion that's 2v5, trying to make something out of an impossible situation. And let's see what they can do. But otherwise, M80 looks like they might be back.
I don't even know how you begin to do this if you're Shopify in this 2v5. Whatever it is, it has to be clean.
30 seconds left.
Timing there. Uh-oh, dog seen one. Yep, that'll be enough. Wow. Sato awakening in the last handful of rounds, creating a spark of life for M80. Will get him into a 7-5 count. Not sure why the update hasn't come through yet. That is the end of it, but well, you know, Barracks does Barracks things every now and again.
Yeah, it's too busy sending out marching orders apparently. But yeah, so swapping things around now. We're going to be seeing M80 be the ones on the attack. Oh, it was BCJ who got first blood. Oh man, that feels so bad for BCJ. But yeah, honestly, great just pulling things together from M80. We talked a lot about that macro play coming in from M80, feeling a little bit weaker, and it started to turn its head around on that defensive half. So 7-5 coming into this next one.
Yep.
Sato still looking towards this middle area here, while Shopify Rebellion are the ones who are trying to push out and get exploratory aggressive outside of A.
And again, this is the half that you assume that things will be pretty telegraphed, to put it plainly, if you're M80. You know, you often assume this fault line, fast lane combo to get into the deep side of B. So lots of stress likely on the mind of Pancakes, as he will be trusted to hold on to this pistol round at B by himself. You also have an aggressive angle being held by Paint over towards A main, so that's going to lean the defense just a touch, but no intention yet for M80, taking their time.
Letting the clock tick down, and Shopify Rebellion, they're still playing pretty passively here. They've given up all of that middle space, just making sure to have Spaz watching just in case anyone tries any shenanigans. M80 are going to be setting themselves up for this B site. They're going to be walking into Pancakes' utility, which is especially annoying on pistol rounds, and especially too with BCJ with Flash.
Good relay bolt on the backside. Nanostorm holds everything off for now. Fragment into the smoke. Again, delays this a little bit longer for M80, but here comes the flood forward. Pancakes in the corner. Oh, that's a little bit of a shallower corner than you normally expect. And Monzi up top, able to take down 3. Clean for the defense around B, only dropping 1 in the process.
Yeah, wow. Even through all of that, like as soon as they just walked through the smoke, they got smoked, for lack of better terms. Like all the pistols were flying from all these different directions, and M80 just simply did not know where to look. So Shopify, they scoop up the pistol round yet again on this map. And yeah, now okay, this is something I'm actually really excited to see. Paint being able to play with these sniper rifles has an outlaw in hand this time around, but we've seen the kind of like the faster Paint style of play. I'm excited to see the sniping because Paint is so good at so many different skills, and the sniping is something that, like, you know, it might honestly rival Sato. We've been hyping up Sato a lot, but Paint's still extremely good with the sniper rifle in hand.
Yeah, Paint's been he's got the hot hand right now without question.
Oh, yeah.
For the side of Shopify. But no contact initially over towards A. I think M80 will be happy about that, considering there's stars, there's nano swarms, and there's 3 members ready to go. And instead, they'll try to flex back over to middle. Again, how much do you choose to clear with your utility is going to be the question, because again, it will telegraph exactly where the intention is going to be here with these classics, largely just in hand. A little spam through the star being pulled back, but nothing connects, and we'll go down to 55 seconds, 5v5.
Now the engagement going to be happening here onto the safe side. The Arc Rose gets deployed, and so will the Nano Swarm. So slow things down just for a minute. Fault line already has been expended, and this is what Shopify Rebellion have been doing well.
Yeah, another nano in place that will be spent. Chip damage starting to really tally up now. B-Dog going to stick for the plant, though, and we're going to stay 5v5. Opportunity starting to brew here for M80. Here comes a little bit of a bait and switch. But the lineup is just too good. The Bulldog ripping through it. Monzi may have missed timing onto one, but Kate just rips off B-Dog's head, and the retake will be clean. Again, just a single elimination to tally for M80's offense.
And good utility coming out of M80 on this one. You see that they just, blow a bunch of things up. They force the spacing from Shopify Rebellion, and then they're able to get the plant down nice and easy. After that, there was a fun, nifty idea. They send Sato in. They were able to swing off of that and are able to find at least one kill. But then Shopify Rebellion, they just hold back a little bit, understand how to play their gun advantage, and the rest is just history. Pancakes making it look so easy. And of course, Bait, sure, I was hyping up the sniping. This isn't exactly what I had in mind, I'm going to be honest with you, but still, look, still, you know what? It was a headshot. When it could have been a body shot, it was still a headshot. So, fun watching Paint do that.
Beggars can't be choosers, Marks.
Exactly.
You wanted a snipe connection, you got one.
Yep.
Full weapons here for M80. Pretty much a true bonus, though, for Shopify Rebellion, seeing how punishing they can make this round 3 of the second half. Knife will reveal just about everything. So there will be an early flex here. BCJ going to follow up on the information from his knife. Paint also knowing that with 4 players being tagged, he has the freedom to move a little bit further forward to take away this angle.
Oh, almost found a timing there on Dabao. Not going to be the case. And honestly, Shift, I'm so surprised. I would have expected this death ball from M80 to be working a lot quicker here.
Oh, no.
Now able to at least find Paint's head, which might call the rotation over from Shopify Rebellion, as it does look like M80 are ready to go. But yeah, the speed that M80 are playing with, I'm not going to lie, I thought it would be a bit quicker.
I mean, I think there's still a level of trying to get established, too, in this round. You want to be respectful of any possible shotgun shenanigans. But there is a level of, we haven't necessarily seen that very telegraphed fault line, fast lane combination that often plagued this map early. But here we go. Here's a little bit of tempo coming over from A main. Fault line sent purely over in towards pit, and whoa, if you're Monty, you're in a world of trouble. Spaz still able to kind of spam things down though for one. Nanostorm stopping, and he's scaling from the backside of the site. Spaz in trouble, but still alive. B-Dog has not been able to successfully plant. Still not successfully able to plant. Finally gets it down just in the nick of time, but it's allowed Shopify to get fully back into force. Flash for the full-on retake coming over the top. B-Dog affected by it. No problems for Spaz. Leaving it just down to Bow. Nearly gets a bit of a lineup, but just too many numbers to deal with. Shopify take the bonus.
Wow. That honestly was a very impressive round coming in from Shopify Rebellion. Just watching them. Okay, yeah, we talked about the M80 tempo. We talked about how we're expecting it to be fast. Oh man, here comes the breach after fault line, and then, ooh, there goes the neon. But on the other side, Shopify Rebellion, they're using their utility and disengages to really throw the M80 strategy into this such weird space and timing. If you wanted an example of this, like you see as soon as some of the utility goes through, when they would want to jump in and capitalize off of the members who got stunned up, oh, look at that, there's a molly in front of me, suddenly I can't push forward. When they're flooding in onto the site, as soon as they split it off with a single smoke, they flash things off and are able to isolate the member of M80 who's in front of the rest of the crew and just make it punishing. It's so weird.
That's annoying. Yeah, it is a level of, I think, just the protocol building for Shopify Rebellion with just the rehearsal reps that they've been able to get is causing just too much headache right now for a fresh M80 team. Even right there, Sato just trying to push the envelope, get a little bit more tempo, but gets caught behind the Nano Swarm. But now you have to commit into this, especially with the weapons that you've got. And, well, again, just Shopify Rebellion are just bending at best, not even coming close to breaking on this A defense.
That spike's still not planted. Okeano's still looking for more. He's able to actually find paint. You know, Oki's going to be good for that one, but still lots of paint.
Yep. And that'll be it. Okay. I mean, it really is that. I think you break it down perfectly, Marks, for what it's worth. It is just this extra level of, again, like how the layering is going for M80 is just not quite there yet. Like, you can see what they're trying to do. The attempt is very clear. It's just they're not able to kind of crack the code. And some of that, I think, is just due to the littering of the point that you're getting from Shopify's build. I mean, Pancakes has had his utility in great spots every single round thus far. He has not just been on an island playing over towards B. He's been in support of this A hit every single time and is getting tons of value out of these nano swarms. I mean, legitimately, him and BCJ both are getting so much utility connection, and it's just causing so many headaches for M80.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word disruptive necessarily, but it's introducing these awkward pauses in M80's execute. And honestly, like it's working out perfectly between the fragment and the nano swarms, just completely spinning it off. And even Spaz, every now and then we're seeing that concuss come down. It's making it so uncomfortable for M80 to properly attack in onto the site. And even when they do get this, well, actually, that one round where they couldn't get the spike down, I think that's an even better example of it, because it's just Shopify Rebellion hoisting all of this utility at M80, which forces them into this weird positioning until suddenly they're under this weird time crunch. You see people going for these hero plays, trying to make something happen, and Shopify Rebellion Black are just chilling and waiting for them to overextend themselves so they find easy kills.
Well, we need signs of life here in this round from M80. Onto a full purchase, but zeroing out the bank accounts. Cosmic Divide and a Nightfall to help support the execute. And this is what I was about to say. Why not just go to the old tried and true? Break down this site by just throwing vertical utility in towards halls. Kind of cross it up, but a knife will clear out pillar. No intention yet for M80, just a small show of force. Caillou will be seen over towards A main, but no worse for wear.
And yeah, given the fact that they left that spike down, you see that maybe there's a little bit more layers to this M80 attack. They're interested in exploring mid here. I think this is going to be the ultimate test, because they should be able to pick up on information that A is going to be pretty reinforced. What they do with that information will really showcase what they're capable of.
This is the exact same thing once again. Nightfall, though, will cut across the site. Good first blood. Actually, the Razor will be what gets the first blood onto BCJ. That's a critical defensive member down and out. Pancake's also taking damage, but it's a double peek coming out. Spaz almost able to line up, but Okeano's off the plan. Is still able to secure a kill on the exit, avoiding this lockdown. Some space has been taken. Great nano swarm right onto the forehead of Okeanos. And everything else is just going to come down to this 3v3. Face up, front side of the site. 2-1 split for M80 on the post plant. Star in position to try to pull this back. Flashes out. Paint takes away the corner. Now Pancakes is on. Can he get it to half? Sure is. He can possibly hold it longer. Everyone's just on top of the site, but no. The lineup is too good. Bao's able to spam through it. And the call to commit to hold the defuse goes a bit awry as M80 get their 8th round.
I think what we were seeing there was a little bit of body blocking attention there. Make sure that it doesn't necessarily suck off, because the rest of the M80 squad, well, they're probably not going to push off. They still have a little bit of utility to play off of, so we don't anticipate them swinging through. And like you said, it didn't quite work out the way that they wanted. Honestly, Okeanos being the sole reason this round continued to survive. The fact that Oki gets a kill there and still able to disengage properly was massive for M80, because Shopify Rebellion did not just execute with what they wanted. Whoa, Sato gets pinged up through the wall, but still alive.
Yeah, if only just barely. But again, any attention towards B long now off the table with an operator in play, and in particular, your initiator into Sato trying to get to halls that weak. I mean, he could be taken down by a multitude of utility that would be around the corner, in particular things like a fragment. Now you got to re-wrap back over towards A, which has been a headache for you, especially as the approach has largely been through main.
And yeah, look, they have to use the Prowlers just to retake the space. They're making so much noise. There's still a minute left here. We'll be seeing an ultimate orb get picked up, and now it's going to be the Cosmic Divide for this execute.
Nightfall cuts across, though. This will put a bit of a pause. And honestly, M80 may have to commit the Rolling Thunder just to get into sight. Arms up, here it comes. Off your feet. No one's affected by it per se, but some space has been taken. Good follow-up, fault line coming through as well. But again, Sato just cannot get through the razor wire. Spike will be planted, though. 5v4, post-plant largely lingering over towards main.
5v4. A lot available. Cosmic Divide coming in for Shopify Rebellion.
And they're trying to step forward into this. Fragment will push them back just a touch. So again, they re-clear out Pit. Now it's just down to fighting behind the purple wall. And Spaz!
Wow.
Oh my! Jumps up, surprises with the shorty, and now Paint holds the line to find the final 3. Shopify gonna get to double digits.
That is unbelievable. I mean, you know, you talk about how you shut down a Neon. Apparently, you just use a lot of utility that completely cuts that mobility down. You see, Sato was ready for the swing off of it. And yeah, sure, Shopify Rebellion, Spaz was like, uh-oh, I'm pinged up. I am an easy target. And yet 2 other members were watching from so far away. And then you just fly into the razor wire, and immediately it's just so much more difficult. So it's so weird coming in from M80, and it feels like Sato's not able to come online when this team is playing together right now. And for me, once again, that's just showing that there's still a little bit of growing curves before this team really starts to take off.
Yeah, there's a level of that. Like, again, like I don't put like fault onto any one particular player. I think it's just, again, like the timing is not quite perfect. Like, it's close. It's just, you know, Sato's getting caught in front of these nanoswarms, for instance. One round he gets punished for it, another he doesn't. The razor wire this last round kind of becoming a deterrent for him after he'd been already tagged. It's just like these little things that you can call it bad luck, bad timing, whatever it may be. It's just not quite there. And now you're on a very difficult Thrifty with just a couple of sheriffs to purchase, and that's going to mean group up and hold hands and see if you can kumbaya something into a site.
If we believe in our friendship, we can believe in this round.
Exactly.
Not in Valorant. And also, too, keep in mind, like, M80, they used 2 very important ults on that last round. So Shopify Rebellion Black, more than happy with how it played out.
Oh, Paint. Oh, saved the day. Sato was right on the back. That's a very efficient Steel Garden, though. But no follow-up push through. Decent idea from Paint. BCJ gonna trust the weapons as now Paint can just get to work doing what Paint does best. 3 in the round for him, and a big shutdown of the heavy-handed hit from M80.
And once again, we're seeing that exact same thing again. Every time they're like ready to execute, oh, here comes the Steel Garden. Perfect. We can take this pistol fight. Everything should be fine. A single piece of utility comes out, and suddenly it's full of breaks for M80. That time around, it was just a little bit of a molly, but still, that level of disruption should not be really what breaks down your compositional strategy. And it's kind of crazy. Well, also, too, that was kind of a crazy shot coming in from Bait, but, you know, as soon as the wrench gets introduced into the mechanism, there's a little bit of hesitation, and then it just collapses for this M80 attack.
All right. This will feel like the ball game in certain ways here if you're M80. Feels like a must-win round without question. Overdrive, Nightfall at the ready to try to utilize. In the face of what is just an ult command. And, well, Paint with an operator. No help needed. Paint just heat checking around through A main. Looking to see if he can catch Bao as well. Oh, just a little wide on it. Another opportunity, though. That is just unguardable. Paint may have just called game.
1 enemy remaining.
Yeah, and Sato 2 flew into the back line, immediately gotten taken out by Pancakes, and the entire Shopify Rebellion defense was just absolutely chilling. Pull up a chair, making some marshmallows, just hanging their time. And they turn around and are like, ah, yes, okay, now they're coming in on this site, and just cut him down completely. And they almost make it look easy with just how discombobulated M80's efforts have really been. And I'm not gonna lie, like, obviously, this is just a little bit different from what we were really expecting from this M80 squad, especially, too, with a lot of their success that they've been coming in. But it really does feel like this is just coming down to a little bit of uncomfortability with their new compositions, new roles, and new player.
On the other side, you know, not to just kind of soften this up a little bit, Shopify Rebellion's playing really damn well right now, too.
Yeah.
Can't discredit what we're seeing from them. Offensive nightfall right through the teeth of this A setup. Still, though, Nano Swarms at the ready. Alarm bot also still intact for main. Okeano's able to catch BCJ in the null command. Is he recoverable? He may be a little bit too far forward here. So they get the spike plant, they back out, and BCJ will be chipped down to a point where, he's not going to be able to get back up again.
Yeah, that's crazy too. I mean, Shopify Rebellion, you saw as soon as the Nightfall came in, they all backed off and immediately were ready to re-engage. And yet still Okeanos being able to find that hero kill. And now the overdrive going to be activated from Sato.
Spaz able to catch one for free on Okeanos. Oh, the follow-up from Shopify Rebellion is so damn clean. And wow, it just gets picked apart. Now again, weapon advantage was definitely part of it, but still, the fact of the matter was that was a heavy stack over through a link, and it just gets absolutely dismantled. What a set of maps from Shopify Rebellion. Starting off by taking M80's pick on the opener, and then following up here with what was just good in-control gameplay. They will qualify for playoffs. M80 will have one more chance in their next go.
Yeah, it's so good coming in from Shopify. I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but the mid-round calls, just the awareness of what was going on, the just intelligent use of utility coming in, it all seemed like a very cohesive machine coming in from this squad. And this is something that I feel like when we've seen them match up against other teams, hasn't really been solidified. And quite frankly, obviously taking into account M80's current circumstances, but Shopify Rebellion, like especially on that defense, I was very convinced that a lot of that kind of rehearsal, a lot of that practice, a lot of just the collective hive mind of planning things through and making right calls, it's all ticking off really well. So I'm super excited to see what Shopify have ahead of themselves when they do enter into playoffs.
Yeah, they're looking like a major contender without question. And I think some of the losses that they did face early in the Swiss bracket, again, a lot of the maps were really darn close. So I imagine we're all about to get memed by the Shopify Rebellion social media manager. You're welcome for the free content. You're welcome for the engagements. We all picked M80. We were all on the Sato hype train, and it did not work out. But hey, that gets us through the end of our match for today. Again, Shopify Rebellion Black do qualify for playoffs. M80 are not dead in the water yet. We'll head off to a break, and the desk will finish off the night.
I think bringing back Brock from last season made a lot of sense. He's one of those players that fits the initiator role pretty well. And so when we were looking to build past him, the coaches kind of looked at, who kind of fits the same mold of like, does their job, really good comms, really good shots, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of what we were looking for in the offseason. And so when we found all those players, they meshed really well with the coaches. I've meshed really well with both my coaches. I'd say some of the players have, either worked with some of the coaches or, talked with them before. So we're all pretty friendly people to each other, and we're all like, likable. So when we go into this thing, we knew like we were going to be committed from the get-go. Like, unless something seriously goes wrong and some player just stops caring, which I don't really see with this group, we should be fine and we should be just full steam ahead. So I think for us from the get-go, it's always been just improve as this 5, really focus on like this 5 and being like the best 5 you can and go all the way to Ascension. I think the biggest improvement has been on the fundamentals of the game. I think a lot of us came from different teams that kind of were taught different fundamentals. Some not taught at all. It's just how it is. You come straight from ranked, play on a few teams, that's just how it is. So for this team, it's really just about combining all that experience together to kind of get on the same page. And that leads into our struggle. I think that was our struggle in the beginning, is just trying to get on the same page at all times. I think the view that each of us have on the game had been slightly different because we came from so many different teams. So now, we've had a few months to, get on the same page, probably like a month, almost 2 months now. Practice has been going really well. We were consistently beating like all the franchise teams. So I think we're getting back into that, all of us on one aligned goal mentality. I think you can expect a lot of firepower and a lot of like highlight reel plays. I think we're one of those teams that likes to do crazy shit all the time. Like we're gonna have some crazy plays this year especially with some of the coaches on board. They love cooking up these crazy plays. So we got a lot of like star power on this team, and I'm hoping to see a lot of clutches. Don't see us in the clutch, let me tell you. Holy, we got a lot of clutches in the team. Got a lot of like star players, a lot of 3Ks coming your way. So hoping that you'll get to see some of that this season.
And it's going to be a series closed out in 2 for Shopify Rebellion Black, finding themselves now a spot in playoffs. And if you saw our predictions at the beginning of all this, don't worry, don't worry. It was just a caster curse. We knew the whole time it was a part of the script. Don't worry about it, friends. But man, this Shopify Rebellion Black, I mean, Roy, they've gone through their ups and downs, but today this looked clean.
Yeah, I mean, this has been an undeniable a statement on their progression, right? We had, despite their setbacks, despite the things that they've been going through, the roster swaps, the unexpected turns and twists, they've somehow managed to stabilize the ship. And I would even argue that they're even looking even better than they have before. They're looking well. I really like their system. I generally feel like they're playing at a very high level. And I would like to formally apologize to M80 for all of us choosing them to win this one.
Yeah, apologies out of the way though.
You're welcome for the curse. Oh no, M80 apologies. Never, I'm getting it backwards. Ash, go ahead. My bad.
She's playing both teams, right?
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Gotta appease all the fans. Gotta try and appease all the fans. But I mean, I definitely agree with everything that Roy was saying when it comes down to SRB. I think that Monty has just like slotted in so nicely. His experience as an IGL throughout like competitive Valorant has been sublime, and it's nice to see that work paying off for him as well, and that experience being able to probably what is helping him like back him up, if you will, as far as slotting into this squad, and the rest of the team just being able to work really seamlessly with him is looking great.
I love being able to see. This is also crazy, by the way, because I did not really realize that M80 had this many first kills. So Shopify Rebellion Black, a lot of the time playing from this deficit, but it kind of didn't feel like it, in my opinion, at least, Roy, when I look back and I think of this match. Like that's shocking to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's shocking because Sato was also kind of just running them down. He was doing a really good job. I think a lot of his kills were first bloods. Okeanos as well, holding it down towards the A main side on the defense side. I mean, a couple things that I would like to point out with the M80 squad is despite their performance and despite the fact that they've taken a loss here, we've still gotten answers to some of the questions that we've been wondering, right? Is like, how is Oki going to be playing? And we sort of got an answer to that. Oki's playing fine in that role. He's the MVP. He played well on both maps. Sato, of course, he's a bit of a steam engine right now. He just needs to heat up a little bit, but there are so many moments and positive takeaways. But now focusing back on SRB, the players that we've been highlighting are the ones who are consistently popping off for the squad, right? We see Spaz on top performing extremely well on the Asher role. Paint right there, consistently putting up numbers. And I think overall, the SRB's direction is definitely headed to that top echelon of teams within VCL North America. And I'm really excited to see how playoffs is going to shape up to be.
And I mean, you're talking about players that we kind of expected to be popping off performing. So I want to pull up this head-to-head and talk a little bit more about them, because when we look back at the series, in the entire series, I guess I say entire like it wasn't just 2 maps. Looking back across these 2 maps, I mean, Paint we knew would go into the series and really be able to step up. And like some of these shots, that double off kill near the end, crazy. But Spaz as well, Ash has been someone that's been top of discussion throughout the week. And yeah, for good reason.
Yeah, for really good reason. I think he's been very consistent on this role, someone that we've highlighted before as far as a player that you're going to expect to find full value out of on this controller role as well. The fact that he's able to survive for so long into some of these rounds, even pull out like clutch situations there as well, and get that util down that's necessary for the team is absolutely massive, while being able to bring so much impact when it comes to those frag moments too. It's undeniable just like how consistent I think both these players have been throughout VCL so far, and Paint really stepping up today when it was important for their early qualification to not really be in a situation where you're worried about elimination.
And this evolution of Shopify Rebellion Black, I think, is just so cool because it's a team that obviously a lot of expectations on, considering the names on this team going into the season. Then things were kind of a little shaky at times. We expected this to be kind of one of those big super teams here, Roy, and that wasn't necessarily what panned out. But with how they've been playing today, I mean, Shopify Rebellion Black, like this could be gearing up for a crazy playoffs run ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. And we did say this in the beginning of the split, right? Like we're giving these teams time to settle in. The first split is usually the where kind of teams are getting integrated, players are swapping roles, you know, the meta is adjusting. There's so many different layers to how teams are structured and what contributes to their performances. And I think we're starting to see that sort of settle in. And I think throughout playoffs, going into the next stage, that's when we're going to see these teams like really hitting their form, really hitting their stride, and we'll really get a gauge on like who these players are, what their ceilings are looking like, how these teams are performing, as well as on both like regionally and internationally as well.
It's exciting stuff, certainly, but it is time for even more exciting stuff as we have none other than Monty, new IGL of the team, on the line here for the interview. Congratulations, not only for the win, but you brought into the team 2 wins back to back. You're in playoffs. How does it feel?
Feels good, you know. Like I like seeing everybody's like predictions and seeing that none of them were right. That's pretty cool. Thank you for that.
It was
I'm just kidding.
we weren't familiar. Caster curse. I swear,
Okay.
it's just caster curse. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It happens.
Hey, I mean, considering the ups and downs the Shopify Rebellion Black have had in the past, I mean, going into this, it's going up against a stacked M80. But what the team has managed to do in the last couple of weeks, I feel like this was such a strong showing. I want to know about how you felt coming into this roster, especially being that new piece, how things behind the scenes have been integrated. I know it's your second match with the team, but we didn't get to see you on the main broadcast at first. But how's things clicking now?
You know, like the first week it went really well, and then we had like just learning curves, you know. I think that's I think our strength right now is that I think I don't want to say I did this because the whole team had it, but like there's a new fire in our team now. Like people are pissed off with their previous performances, and that happens. You know, every team has to learn a certain way and stuff like that. And we grinded a lot for the 2 weeks that I've been here. You know, everybody's starting to feel comfortable. Obviously, we're not, I think, at our peak. Obviously, but that's how it's been feeling. It's been feeling really great. Like I said, right now we're looking good. Hopefully it's not our last time looking this good, but yeah.
I love that you talk about that fire for the team because for a couple of teams, they didn't get the chance to kind of rebuild or have a change before elimination. But this turnaround, fantastic. So I want to know then for you, when you're coming into the team later into the season, if you felt any sort of extra pressure, because of course you're going from BCJ as the IGL to then you coming in, having to then lead that squad. How did you feel about that?
I didn't feel anything. I'm really comfortable on this team. Obviously, like everybody knows me as the Nepo baby, so you know it's pretty funny. I'm obviously kidding, but I'm obviously replacing BCJ. The guy definitely has more experience than everyone combined on the team, right? For me, I've been IGLing for years now, and unfortunately, sometimes like IGLing and having experience are completely two different things, right? And Brennan's not, his name's Brennan, obviously. He's not a bad caller. It's just, it seems like it didn't fit the team environment a little bit too much. I don't know if I'm probably not spilling like a lot of information, but it's been great because today I think for us, obviously you guys are not in our comms, but like we could tell that like me and Brennan fit really well together. He had a lot of reads. I had reads. Even other people obviously had their reads, but like we're fitting in well right now. You obviously have our disagreements on a couple stuff, which I think happens on every team. But I think the fact that both of us have our own ideas and then we're really good at finding compromises for each other. So then we can work together because we're just trying to win. So obviously, I don't think there's a lot of pressure on me as an IGL because I've been doing this. There's obviously a lot of pressure on us as players because we're on a really big org such as Shopify. But I don't think it's catching up to us right now, especially with the, like I said, how there's a new fire that's lit and stuff like that. But yeah.
I mean, you're talking too about you having reads and the BCJ having reads. Is this a situation too where he's doing some like mid-round calling or speaking up, or is it still you kind of like firmly calling, but others could be vocal if something needs said,
Everyone's
right?
vocal on my team. Like I've never had a system where I'm the only one to talk, which has led to issues like with like too many cooks in the kitchen. I think on this team, like the first like 2-3 days, it was like that. Then literally we've been working on our comms ever since I joined because Paint is very, very, very vocal, and sometimes that's not good, and it might be hard to understand sometimes. But for us, we sometimes feel like the comms are clustered, right? Everybody, like I said, is very vocal. Mainly, I think the main 3 players that make the decisions are me, Brendan, BCJ, and Pancakes. Because I mean, all of us have experienced somewhat calling, like you said, BCJ. Really good mid-rounder. Pancakes has IGL'd before, and obviously I'm the main IGL. So that's pretty much that. And we've been finding a really good balance for everyone to speak on the team.
I'm glad. And I know you spoke of that fire that the team now has. You're now in playoffs. I want to know how you're feeling stacking up against these other teams that you've seen that have either just qualified or qualified in the last couple of weeks.
I mean, everybody's good. You can kind of tell. Everyone that's qualified there's a reason why they're there and such like that. We just started looking somewhat pretty solid, right? It doesn't mean much. Everyone can probably win playoffs, right? So it just comes down to how well we can continue progressing throughout these couple of weeks that are coming up and stuff like that, and see how well our matchups are going to be and stuff like that. So.
Well, definitely excited with the progression that we've seen so far. So if it's only getting better from here, you're in for a heck of a run. Monty, congrats on the win. Congrats on playoffs. Thanks for chatting.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. Thank you. Love the insight, everything on the team. Yeah, there a lot of cooks in the kitchen, but hey, this team has just been looking so great, and it's progression, right? I love to hear that because yeah, they're qualified now. There's gonna be more in store.
Yeah, I mean, they have a little bit of time as well. They bought themselves some extra practice days. They can iron out the small little things that they need to. But besides that, they're looking good. And I love hearing from Monty. He seems really like energetic, and he's just happy to be there. And he doesn't really feel the pressure because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're just playing Valorant. That's all they know. They're literally doing this every single day, like all day from start to finish. So I mean, it makes sense why he doesn't really feel the pressure, to be honest.
Yeah, integrating into a new squad, having a call and not feeling that pressure, you can just soar on to the greater things. So great stuff. But looking back at this bracket, even if they have claimed their playoff spot, there's 2 teams here, Ash, that are trying to vie for theirs. Of course, we did have to say goodbye to SAD Esports earlier today, and it's only going to get tougher for those couple of teams still dwindling on that 3 losses.
Yeah, it really is going to get that much more difficult, right? Of course, for tomorrow's matches, you guys are going to have the Blue Water versus Core game on stream. That's going to be a qualification one. And then the YFP versus Trust and Plug one is a little bit of a different situation because you've got YFP who's in that 3-2 area as far as the win-losses. And so it's going to be a qualification for match for them. But for Trust and Plug, who they're playing up against tomorrow, it's going to be a do-or-die situation of keeping themselves from being eliminated, while YFB has a little bit more of that wiggle room to work with. And I think it's going to be a tough game for TIP too, considering the fact that they did lose out on Monty, who you just spoke to. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a tough one. I'm curious to see who they're bringing out there.
Yeah, that's having to kind of adjust with that so late in the season will be a tough one, but I'm hoping that we get a banger of a series and be able to see how they adapt. So 2 more exciting days of Valorant ahead, but that is unfortunately it for us. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for some more Valorant Challengers. Have a good night, everyone.
He's going to take his balance round right here. First shot's good. Paranoia. Oh, it should land. Couple of spam shots are out. Teleports back across into the site. Benji has no utility left. It's all about the contact. Start cover out. We're trusting the shorty.
Oh, we trusted the shorty, all right.
Are you kidding me? It's a 1v1 between shotguns. And Benji says, put that away, clown. I'll take the map. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness.
First, though, that's the problem. It's got the U-Haul initially. Ferbsa holds the corner. Damaged up, though, by Huynh. NBG starting to stack for this retake. Benji, oh my goodness, just gets barrel stuffed by Fireball, who takes down 2. Unbelievable. Sirona stepping up. Finds a double of their own. Plus a little extra. 4 for Sirona. And Sad.
Their home. Very little resistance to be found. Bao just on the other side of the satellite, but at that point, I don't even know if you try and play your life there. A 3-man flank coming behind, but Pancakes aware.
Able to line them all up. Oh, no. I mean, again, it is just pistol with the scope on the other angle. But Pancakes does he get an angle at this? No, he doesn't. Instead, it's Sato for a collateral. Then you throw in the drone. BCJ's trying to hunt this out. What do you got? Trying to deter this setup as best as humanly possible. Salvo a part of this as well. BCJ able to convert on the damage that has been tallied. Back and forth we go. Numbers starting to be reduced here. Spun around for a moment. Q! Oh my! How about
a showcase from the new duelist to M80 as they're already going exploring again.
Oh, relay bolt's gonna connect. Follow up with the gravity vortex. Flash over the top. Forcing the issue here is Shopify Rebellion, and everything melts. Sato looking for more. You think he's starting to feel his stride? 3. Oh, he's gonna